Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is lesson 9, where we're going to learn about symbols, abbreviations, and how to put them together to read a pattern. So here I have two sheets that I got off of Pinterest. I will share the links below. There are different variations of these types of charts. You can have some that are very plain like this one, or where you can have some where you have the abbreviations down below or on top, and then you can have also what the terms are in the UK and US, and you also have the abbreviations and the symbols, but you can also have charts where you can have the symbol, the abbreviation, a picture of what that stitch will look like crocheted, and you may even find somewhere it tells you step by step on how to crochet it. And so there are hundreds of different stitches that it'd be impossible to go through every single one of them. And so for that reason, I decided that I have a pattern here that I created, and so we're going to take this pattern and actually make the item, which is a floral coaster. So if we take a look back here at our sheets, here we have chain, and so the symbol for that is an oval, and the abbreviation is CH. The next one is slip stitch, and that is a darkened circle, and the abbreviation is SLST. The next one is single crochet, which is SC, and this stitch can be found using two different types of symbols, whether it's the X or the plus. In my pattern, we'll be using X's. We have the half double, which is HDC, and that's represented by a T. Then we have the double crochet, which is DC, and that is represented by a T again, but this time you have a bar going through the center of the T. We have the back loop only, and that's represented by a half circle. We're going to be taking a look at the V-stitch here, a double V-stitch for this one, because we'll be doing 2 double crochets and then chain 2 and then another set of double crochets. So it's quite similar to the V-stitch. Taking a look at that. So if I put this aside, I'll be using 2 different color yarns. In this video, I'm going to be using some green and some purple. If we take a look at my pattern here, to start, it says CH. And so if we take a look at our chart here, we know that CH is a chain stitch. So we're going to be chaining 6. Or if you want, you can do a magic ring and just do your 16 double crochets within the ring. Okay, so if we take our yarn, we're just going to create a slip knot and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first chain. So you're going to go into your chain and then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and then pull through the loop on your hook. And this will close your foundation chain and create a ring. First chain 2, and then you're going to yarn over, insert your hook through the ring, and then you're just going to complete your half double. And so again, you're just going to yarn over and insert your hook, and then yarn over and then go through all 3 loops on the hook. And so now we have 3 half doubles because our chain 2 counted as our first half double. So there's 3. And 16. So now that you have 16 half doubles, you can pull the tail a little bit and it'll tighten the center of the ring and it'll pretty much close it up for you. So now that we did our 6 half double, we're going to do our next step, which is to slip stitch to join. So you're just going to insert your hook into the very first stitch, and then you're just going to create your slip stitch, and you've completed round 1. Now we're going to do round 2. So it says chain 3, back loop, 2 double crochet. Then I'm going to back loop 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then I'm going to do back loop 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then I'm going to back loop 1 double crochet in the next 10 stitches, and then back loop 2 double crochets, and then I'll finish off with a slip stitch. So we know that we need to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to double crochet into the back loops only. So there's 1, 2. And now I'm going to back loop 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. Well, back loops, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, into the next stitch. So that's yarn over, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And now I'm going to be putting 1 double crochet into the next 10 back loops. And 10. And now in the last stitch, I'm going to put back loop 2 double crochets. So here's 1 and 2. And then now we need to put our slip stitch to join the round. So again, in the first stitch, you're just going to put your slip stitch. So for round 3, we're going to chain 3, 1 double crochet, then we're going to chain 2, then 2 double crochets in the next 2, and then we know that STS is for stitches, so we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to chain 2, and then REP, and we know that REP stands for repeat to the end of the round. So if we go back to the beginning, we're going to chain our 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet. So yarn over and do a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2. And then in the next, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So here's 1 double crochet, and our second double crochet. There we go. Then we're going to chain 2 and then repeat. Now that we've gotten to the end, now we're going to do a slip stitch in the first stitch from the last round. And now we just finished round 3. Now we're going to do round 4. So we need to do a slip stitch. So in the stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. Then it says chain 3 into chain, and an SP we know is for a space, so chain space, then double crochet, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets in the chain space, repeat to end. So we did our slip stitch. Now we're going to do the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a double crochet into that chain space. So there's 1. So there's 2 double crochets, and then we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2. Then we're going to do again 2 double crochets into the same chain space. And there is your double V. So now we need to do that to the end. So you're just going to yarn over, insert your hook into the chain space, and do 2 double crochets, then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets again into the same chain space. And there you have your second space. Okay, so now that we're at the end of the round, again, we're going to finish it by creating a slip stitch to join them together. So just insert your hook into the first stitch, and then yarn over, and then just pull through both loops. And so there is our 4th round. So now we're going to do round 5. So here it says slip stitch, then chain 3 plus 6 double crochets into the same chain space. So we're going to do a slip stitch. So there's our slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 3. Then we're going to then we're going to yarn over and create 6 double crochets into the same chain space. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there is our 6 double crochets and our chain 3. So then the next step is to SC, so that's single crochet. So we're going to single crochet into the next stitch here just to fasten it off so that it'll help shape our petals. The next step is to put 7 double crochets into the same chain space. So you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to insert into the next chain space, and you're just going to create 7 double crochets. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's 7 double crochets, and again we're going to put a single crochet. So single crochet, and now we're going to repeat, and then we'll finish it off by putting in our slip stitch. All right, so I'm at the last chain space. So again, we're just going to create 7 double crochets into the chain space. So here's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then you're just going to single crochet, and then you're going to just slip stitch into the first stitch, and then you could just pull your yarn a little bit, grab your scissors, and then fasten off. There you go. And there is your coaster. What I like to do is I like to go into a few of the stitches in the petal, and then I will go through the single crochet stitch at the base, and I'll just pull through. Gone through, I will actually just go through another petal just to really secure it and make sure it doesn't come unraveled in the wash. And so once I've gone through 2 petals, I will skip the first stitch and I'll just go back in, but in a stitch further, and I'll just go back through the stitch and pull through, and then I will cut the tail off, and now it's hidden in my work. So this is how you follow instructions when they're using abbreviations. If we take a look at the pattern first, if we take a look here, we can see that the pattern starts with a chain. because we know here, if we take a look at our abbreviations, that a chain is represented by a oval. So we know we're starting with our chain, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know we need to chain 6. And then we know at the end of our chain, we're going to create a slip stitch, and we know this because a darkened circle is a slip stitch. Here we have chain 2, which will be your first stitch. So if we look here, we have a T, and we know that a T is a half double. So the next round will be half doubles. We're going to be doing 16 half double crochet. And then we're going to come to the end of our round, and we're going to create again another slip stitch. In the next round, we're going to be chaining 3. And then this time we have a half circle. And so if we take a look at that, we know that that means it's a back loop only. So that means we're going to be working in the back loops on this round. And again, we have a T, but this time we have a bar going across. And so we know that the T with one bar going across the center means that it's a double crochet. So that means we're going to be doing double crochets in round 3. And so we're going to be doing 20 double crochets. Then if we take a look at the next row, we're going to be doing, so on the last row we did our slip stitch to join, and then again we're going to be doing another slip stitch on the top of the next stitch, and then we're going to be doing a chain 3. And then we know from the last row that a T with the line going across is a double. So we're going to be doing double crochet. And then we know that the ovals mean chain. So we're going to be doing 2 doubles, chain, 2 doubles, chain. And we're going to be repeating that all around, and then join back with a slip stitch. In row 4, slip stitch, and then we're going to be working into the chain space. And so we're going to be chaining 3, and then again we know that the T with the bar across is a double, and then we're going to be doing 2 chains stitches, and then again 2 more doubles. And we'll be doing that all around. And then once we get to the end of the stitch, we will create a slip stitch. Then we'll create another slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3 plus 6 double crochets for a total of 7 double crochets, because our chain 3 counts as our first double, and we'll be doing that again in the chain space. Then we'll be doing a single crochet, and then again 7 double crochets into the chain space, and then another single crochet, and we'll be doing that all around until we get to the end of our pattern. So to begin, we're going to chain our 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we need to join. So we'll insert in the very first stitch and then create our slip knot. Then we're going to go on to the first round, which is to chain 2, 1, 2, And then once you've chained 2, we're going to be doing our half doubles. And so if you want, you can work your tail into your work, or you can just leave your tail to the side and weave it in later. It's entirely up to you. So once you've chained your 2, you're going to yarn over and you're going to insert in the center of your ring, and you're going to yarn over and pull through, and there is your first, well, technically second half double. So 2, and we need 14 more. So now that we have our 16 half doubles, now we need to go into the top of the first stitch and then create our slip stitch, and now we've joined our ring together. So now we're going into the next one. So we determined that we're doing 20 double crochets in the back loop. 2, 3, 2, 10, 2. All right, so we did our slip stitch, sorry. So now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to double crochets into the back loops only. So here's 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then we're going to do 1 double, and then in the next stitch back loop we're going to do 1 double, and then in the next back loop we're going to do 1 double again. Now we're going to be doing 2 doubles into the back loop. So here's 1, and in the same loop there's 2, and now we're going to be doing 10 doubles into each of the next back loop. And then the next stitch will be 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And then you're going to create a slip stitch into the top of the next stitch. All right, so now that we have that row done, we're going to go into our next row, which is we need to create a slip stitch again. So here's our slip stitch, and then we're going to do our double. So we need to chain 3, 3, create a double into the next stitch, then chain 2, 1 and 2. Then you're going to do a double, into the next stitch, then another double in the next stitch, and then chain 2, and then a double into the stitch, and then another double, and then chain 2, and then we're going to do another double, another double, then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, a double, And we're going to repeat that all around. And chain 2. And then we're going to create our slip stitch into the first double. And now we have our third row, our third round. Okay, so now that we've connected our round, we're going to be doing done our slip stitch, and so now we need to do another slip stitch. And then we need to do another slip stitch on the top of the stitch here. So we're just going to create our last slip stitch. And now you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and you're going, and there's our first double V stitch. All right, so now we're going to go into the next chain space, and we're going to be doing double, double, chain 2, and then you have the double again, and then another double. And there we have another. And you'll repeat that all around until you get back to the beginning of your round. Chain 2, and then 1 and 2, and there you have your fourth row. All right, now that you've done that, you're going to do your slip stitch into the top of the stitch. And now we've joined our round together. And now we're going to be doing another slip stitch. And then we're going to be doing 6, 7 double crochets into the chain space this time. And we're going to do that in, there's 10 of the petals that we need to do. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you're going to slip stitch into the top of the stitch because we need to do our second slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to work 6 double crochets into the same chain space. So here's 4 and 7. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 double crochets into the chain space. Once you have 7, you're going to create a single crochet in the next stitch right here. And that will keep your petal down. Then you're going to do a double crochet into the next chain space. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so you're going to be doing 7 double crochets all around. So now again, we're going to insert and do our single crochet. So if we take a look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we're going to be doing our last petal. So once we're done our last petal, we're going to do our single crochet again and then complete with a slip knot. So here's our last 7 doubles into our chain space. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we are going to do our last single crochet. And then at the top of the stitch, we're going to do our slip stitch. And there's our floral coaster. So you're just going to grab your scissors and you're going to cut your tail and then tighten your knot. Once you've done that, you can weave in your tail. So once you have your yarn needle ready, you're just going to insert through a few stitches through the first petal, and then you're going to pull through, and then you're going to also go through this next single crochet, and then you're going to also go through a few more stitches through the petal just to secure your tail. Once you've pulled through, you can then go back in the other direction to just secure it. So don't go into the first stitch as you don't want your tail to get unraveled. So go through the second stitch and then just go through a few stitches, and then you can then pull through, and then just grab your scissors to cut off the remainder of your tail. For the center, you can pull on the string to close your center. And then once you've done that, just grab your scissors and cut your tail, and there you have your finished coaster. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Join me in our last lesson, which will be filet crochet. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Until next time, happy hooking!